But then came 7 of the darkest days in Northern Ireland, when all the attacks on Hume seemed justified. An IRA bomb ripped through Frizzell's fish shop on the Shankill Road, killing 9 innocent victims and one of the bombers. Days later, Gerry Adams carried the IRA bomber's coffin. Watching at home on TV, John Hume broke down in tears of frustration. That weekend, in retaliation for Shankill, Loyalist gunmen walked into the Rising Sun bar in Greysteel and killed 7 more innocent bystanders.
People murdered last week were every bit as innocent as were the people on the Shankill Road, and I would be certain that the families of the people in the Shankill Road would be horrified that the murder of their loved ones would be used as an excuse to do exactly the same.
This followed, obviously, the Frizzell's fish shop, which I'd also covered, so there was an incredible amount of anguish and hardship, but it was like it was relentless, and you felt at one stage that this talk of a peace process was actually crazy, because there was no way there could be peace when things like this were going on. And it's not that any funeral is more sad than another one, but I think just on the day here, it was just incredibly poignant. I mean, they were like literally wailing. It was just incredible. I remember just at one moment looking over, I was over there to my left, and I saw Pat and John Hume, and he literally completely broke down. He was weeping because some woman I noticed had gone up and spoken to him. And it's just a memory that's always stayed with me.
John's wife Pat has told me since that Greysteel was her breaking point. She asked her husband to stop his talks with Adams, to step away from his campaign. It was simply all getting too much.
I mean, I think at the time, everyone was questioning John and wondering why in God's name he was talking to the men and women in violence when all this was happening. And I suppose it was just that moment when I saw him here in the graveyard break down and sob. And, you know, you could see the torture on that man's face. It was probably the most testing time for John Hume because Greysteel was so horrendous.
John was hospitalised for stress. He was risking his health, his own personal reputation, and that of his party, the SDLP. He needed his tenacity, his stickability to keep going, to keep trying to persuade the killers that there was an alternative to killing.